and turn things over to Reed.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Ryan mentioned, my name is Reed Wiedower. I'm the Chief Technology Officer here at New Signature, and I'm pleased today to be able to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart and is actually core critical to New Signature as a business itself, namely engaging our customers with Microsoft Dynamics. And I think from a service-oriented business, it may be obvious to some of us at New Signature why this is important. But I want to walk through really how using Dynamics CRM can help you engage with your customers in a more effective and transparent manner. And as part of our discussion today, we'll actually be going over some of the new changes that are coming to the Dynamics CRM space to allow you to be even more effective than you were 6 months or 12 months in the past. So it's worth noting, I think, that customer experience is not just a buzzword that service shops are focused on, that customers have, and survey after survey indicated that if you're failing to connect with them and really have a positive customer experience, that you're not going to be successful as a business. When you look at the numbers on the screen, it's relatively easy to see that a majority and a large majority of customers in the business space today are willing to pay more money for a better experience. Think of the last time you called into a particular provider, be it a bank or a cable network or what have you, to get service. Would you be willing to pay more money to spend less time on the phone and have a good experience? I think almost all of us can relate to that. And many of us have left particular companies and particular services because of a bad customer service experience. So it's not only important for building and maintaining those customer connections, but preventing people from leaving you and going to a competitor of yours. And that's true across every single customer interaction. We've seen over and over again that customers who are, or businesses that are targeting customers and getting back a positive sentiment from those customers, but only interviewing narrow time slices. So if you only ask for people's opinions once a year or at the end of a customer service interaction, that may not be enough data points to really get a good picture of what your customers are thinking about your business. So I think these numbers actually drive that home. And it's important to start with this, and I like to almost frame all of my CRM conversations around this. Almost every company believes at their heart that they provide a superior value to their customers and that they're doing a good job with customer experience. But when surveyed, and this is actually from a Bain survey, in reality, customers completely disagree. So when you think about the types of experiences you're trying to provide to your customers, and you may think that you're doing a perfectly decent job of delivering that value proposition to your customers, but your customers may be in a completely different world. And that something that honestly is got to be frightening to anyone who's in a business that's trying to deliver a great experience, because if you can't trust your own people to be able to make that call, chances are you're probably doing a very poor job. And if you already know that you have some challenges with customer service, just imagine what your customers think if they don't engage. So the goal here, and this is true of CRM Online, but it's really true of Microsoft's entire ecosystem, is to think about customers in a different manner. You really want customers to be able to engage you on their terms, rather than being able to go out there and massage the entire life cycle of a customer. You need to be willing to have interactions with your customers when they're ready to do so. That means when they're ready to purchase, that they can purchase easily. That means when they're ready to have or to call in with an issue about the service that you're providing, that you can rapidly triage issues that come up. That you need to be able to provide these sorts of mechanisms and channels for customer service 24/7, 365 days a year. The old, 9 to 5, opportunity is something that's gone out the window, especially with customers who are increasingly engaging on social media sites Someone could tweet about something at 1 in the morning, and by the time you get up, that could have gone viral in other countries. So it's critical to make sure that those engagement loops are being closed as rapidly as possible, and you're meeting the customer on their terms rather than through your preferred unique channel from the past. So the goal with CRM, and really for almost the entire Microsoft ecosystem of products, is to help you build a very strong, concrete relationship founded on trust and given knowledge over time to ensure that every single experience with your customers is one that delights them. That means it needs to be personalized to their needs. It needs to be proactive. You need to be reaching out to them before issues occur. And you need to predict. You need to be able to say, hey, if we're selling these services at this time, what's that going to look like a month in the future, 6 months in the future, and so on. So if you're not doing this level of engagement today, if this is aspirational for your organization, I'm here to talk today about how CRM can help you move up that maturity chart. We're going to very quickly touch on the pillars and then dive into the CRM platform specifically to show how this will work for you. But from a personalized perspective, I think that means, as I mentioned earlier, that ensuring that you're engaging them on the customer's time frame, making sure that if they choose a particular channel, whether it's email or Twitter or Facebook or what have you, that you can leverage that channel to the best of its capacity, and that you can switch those channels if necessary. If someone is having a customer service issue, Twitter is probably not the best way to resolve their problem, but it's a great way to respond to their problem and then channel switch them to another channel, perhaps email or a telephone call that can provide a better experience. And that connection needs to be end to end. You can't simply call in and have a unique experience each time. There shouldn't be a difference of customer service depending on your channel. You want to make sure that people have a great experience regardless of how it's surfaced to your customer service reps. And if you're doing that, if you're providing that personalized focus, think about the last time again that you called a large business and were told at multiple telephone prompts to insert your social security number or credit card number or what have you. Every time that you have to re-input information that the business should already have, that's driving down that customer service experience. If you want a personalized approach, you should be able to look in your system and say, I can, based on this person's phone number, know all the interactions that they've had with all of my different representatives. I have a history of those interactions. I can be able to broadly track their sentiment, and I can know what products and services they have, all without requiring them to provide me a huge amount of information. All of that should simply be stored. From a proactive aspect, you want to make sure that people can self-service as much as possible. This is increasingly, I mentioned early in the call that if I'm calling into a particular service provider and trying to get some level of service, that can be frustrating to me if it takes me an hour of being on hold to accomplish, a simple task. If there's a web form, if there's another mechanism that I can use to self-service that information, I would much rather go to a website and have my problem resolved than to be on hold for an hour. So where you can provide self-service tools, you want to make sure that those are available to your entire customer population. And I say customer, but whether you're in business-to-business sales or business-to-consumer sales, customer is equally applicable. However you manage those tools today, being able to allow people to self-service it is going to, again, drive up their customer satisfaction. The best part of using those types of tools in conjunction with CRM is that if I'm self-servicing my issue, the common complaints and concerns of any service provider can all be grouped into one database to allow me to get intelligence about the type of information and the type of problems that my customer base are running into. So you want to make sure that not only those tools drive up customer satisfaction, but that you use that information to do a broad analysis of what people are looking at and to go out to them proactively and say, hey, if this person has called in 5 times over the past, let's say, 6 weeks, they're probably having a fairly bad customer experience. Maybe that needs to be escalated to a principal at your firm to reach out to the customer to say, oh, we're sorry that we've had to talk to you so many times about these issues. I'm going to be able to give you a discount on a future service or maybe some sort of other personal touch to make sure that they recognize that you're going above and beyond to provide them a great experience. So even when customers have bad experiences, that can be the moment that you drive up their satisfaction, as long as you're being proactive about it, as long as you're reaching out to them. And you can't do that if you haven't harnessed the power of your existing system to do that. The final pillar that I want to cover is predictive. It's great to be proactive about what the types of conversations you have with your customers, but you really do, once you have all of this information in your system, and chances are most of you already have a system that's collected that information, but you probably aren't looking 6 months, 12 months into the future to be able to identify patterns and to predict with any level of certainty what things are going to look like in the future. And that's the goal here. It's not merely, I chat with customers all the time who are using CRM as a system of record, but are really just using it to look in the rearview mirror. They're saying, oh, this is great that our sales hit this particular number during this quarter. But my question to them is, what's it going to look like a month in advance, 6 months in advance? And if you have all of that historical information, you should be able to predict some trend lines. You should be able to see, if you've got a seasonal business, what that seasonal variation looks like. And if you're using that information in an intelligent fashion, again, this is from a McKinsey survey, by looking at those usage patterns, you can actually increase your earnings 10 to 15%. So this isn't rocket science. It's just doing analysis. But if the data is in the system and you're not taking advantage of it today, that's something that Dynamics can help you with. So let's look at the customer engagement model that's in Microsoft Dynamics. And we're going to go over some of the items that are in the current platform, and then we're going to look into the future. Broadly speaking, the Dynamics platform is designed to make sure that you have customer engagement from end to end. From the moment that you start marketing to customers, through the sales process, and ultimately for doing customer service after you've sold them the products, all of those are part of a cycle of customer engagement that really can drive up satisfaction in your business. Making sure that you act in a proactive fashion, making sure that you customize the solution for customers and that you can predict it. All of that is contained within the technology platform itself. So from a marketing perspective, we obviously want to go out there and make sure that that your brand is getting the best bang for your buck, that you're engaging with customers. But one of the things that is a challenge for many of the shops that we walk into and talk to is that impact has been historically tough to measure. You might know how much you were spending on a campaign, but what was the result of that campaign? Rather than having a lagging indicator of saying, well, we went out and we spent $200,000 or $1 million on marketing events, and that generated $10 million worth of sales, but those are decoupled from one another. You need to have a connection to know what sorts of efforts are working, what's not working. If you don't have a good way of very specifically calculating the return on marketing investment, or ROMI, that's something you need to do today, because that's going to be what drives up the success of your technology platform. If I can go and say, hey, these sorts of events are much more effective than these other ones, that's going to be a dollar well spent to drive that forward. And again, if you're not doing that today, that's something that you can use this technology platform to allow you to do. Dynamics Marketing, which is part of the Dynamics CRM platform, allows you to manage marketing components end to end. You can obviously track and score leads as part of it. You can build out very complex multi-month, multi-year marketing efforts and essentially automate that effort from the get-go. So you can plan out a series of advertisements, various channels. You can say, and even do A/B testing. So if you would like to see, okay, we're going to send out 10,000 emails. Let's send out 1,000 first, see which ones are resonating with our customers, see which ones are getting a better response, and then send that email out to get the best bang for your buck. And that translates directly into collaboration with your sales team. One of the common complaints that we see at many firms is that the marketing team is somewhat divorced from the sales team. There may be marketing efforts that are going on, but because no true ROMI has been calculated, the fact that more leads are going to come in 3 months from now isn't really seen as core critical. And that can lead to challenges, because the sellers on your team are probably the best people to look into the marketplace and say, here's what we need to hammer home over the next 1 month, 3 months. at 6 months. And that speaks ultimately to being able to get deep analytics out of the solution, to being able to provide a better basis looking forward again to that predictive model. You don't just want to be doing these marketing events in a vacuum. You really do need those analytics to light up so that you can say, this worked, this didn't work, and this is what we're going to do in the next 6 months or 12 months. From a selling perspective, obviously, these are the, I would say, the standard pillars of sales. You want to make sure that you're being effective with your sales team. You want to make sure that you can increase that velocity of how fast deals are coming in. And you want to make sure that you increase the breadth and size of those deals as well. I think most people understand that Dynamics platform is designed to help you support that, but they've made a significant number of changes over the past 6 months and are making more changes over the next 6 months to drive up the effectiveness of the sellers at your organization. That means things like collaborative selling, making sure that multiple people can get in and help move a deal along. Being able to get intelligence about particular accounts and do intelligent prospecting is a key advantage. Making sure that sellers can use the devices that they use on a regular basis, mobile devices like phones, touch-enabled devices like tablets. You want to make sure that your sales team is always able to get the intelligence and the information that they need, regardless of what device they're on. And so there have been significant investments in that as a platform. And finally, going to that social space and saying, can you look at the existing social environment and do sentiment analysis, not only to get from the marketing perspective whether particular campaigns are landing well, but even from a sales perspective, being able to say which products and services are resonating with my collection of customers. Again, going to those 3 trends, making sure that those messages that you send out are highly targeted to specific individuals, being able to identify those trends ahead of the curve, and being able to say, what are our sales going to look like in the future, regardless of what we've been doing in the past. Final component, and the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart, is, again, that customer experience. The idea that you can get customer care everywhere you go is a powerful way to enhance the existing platform that you're using. Being able to make sure that customers feel loyal to your brand, making sure that you're building fans, not only in your immediate area, but even outside of that, to making sure that that brand recognition goes around. Making sure that your customer service representatives, you may have 2 people, you may have 200 people who are in charge of maintaining that customer experience. Those agents are your best salespeople. I always tell my customers, if your customer service representatives are unhappy and don't like the system that they're using, that's going to translate into poor customer experience, which will translate into poor sales. So making sure that your customer service reps are happy and empowered to be able to provide a great experience, that's incredibly, incredibly critical for any platform that you implement. How does that work in Dynamics? Well, the service components of Dynamics allow you to span multiple channels, so you can provide service to people who are using Twitter, to people who are using Facebook, to people who are posting on blogs, obviously email, telephony, you name it. Any of those channels you can support people on, and you can switch between them. You can also build up workflows to say that if someone does channel switch, if I tweet that I'm having a bad experience with your particular company and then I call in, you can have Dynamics escalate that to a manager based on the number of channel switches that are occurring. Ultimately, the goal is to make sure that people can self-service, but that self-service has to also be driving them into a knowledge base, not only from what you've built, but what customers have built. So you want to make sure that you're capturing all of that information, not because it's great to have this in a system of record, but because you can then drive up satisfaction of your customers and you can perform analytics based on the amount of time that it's taking to solve those particular problems. So let's look at how that works from a social aspect as well. I think it's critical to note that this is something that most firms today do a relatively poor job of. I think there's a lot of buzz and media interest in the social sphere, but when it comes down to brass tacks, you want to leverage the social space to help your company sell more products, to help you beat your competitors, to help you driving up customer engagement. So when you think about social from that aspect, it's not enough I've chatted with customers who have assigned summer interns to be their social media wizards, as it were. And the problem with that approach is, if you're treating social as something that is a low priority or something that an intern who's not core critical to the business is going to manage, again, that's going to drive down customer satisfaction, and that's going to reduce your ability to continue to drive up sales. What does social engagement look like in the Microsoft space? The ability to grab analysis from multiple channels. Again, when you think of customer care separate from social engagement, obviously some people will occasionally post items on Twitter or Facebook where they need or have a very specific problem that they need solved. But the broader sense of the social space is simply, how do they feel about you as a business? Making sure that you have sentiment analysis for every sort of person who's tweeting or posting on behalf of your company or about your company. That's critical. You want to make sure that those marketing campaigns are landing well, but you also want to make sure that you're defending your brand. You want to make fans, and you want to identify those fans and reward them. Ideally, there should be a virtuous circle of your brand evangelists in the marketplace today. Those could be you reaching out. It could be your C-suite executives providing gifts to particular people. And this isn't done in a vacuum. You can get very rich analytics of the existing social space for any of your products and services with a minimal amount of training to get it up and running. It's really quite compelling when you start to look at the possibilities there. So let's talk about how that looks in Dynamics itself. And I'm going to start by focusing on some of the changes that are coming over the next 2 to 3 months in the spring 2015 wave of Dynamics CRM. So we focused from a all-up perspective on a couple of key pillars for the spring 2015 wave. We want to make sure that productivity is second to none. Microsoft has always had an advantage in the CRM space because they're the company that has by and large built the Office Productivity Suite to allow people to collaborate seamlessly. With CRM Spring 2015, that's going to be enhanced in a major way. They're also focusing on the social aspect, making sure that there's a single pane of glass to collect that information about the people who are tweeting and posting about you, your business, and your services. All of that has been re-envisioned in the Spring 2015 wave, and we'll go over what that looks like. Microsoft hasn't forgotten about CRM as a platform either. So making sure that performance is second to none is a key addition to this particular release. And being able to leverage various mobile devices, regardless of the underlying operating system, is a big investment that Microsoft made for this release. Finally, knowledge base and making sure that individual information about your customers and the problems they're encountering is another big addition to the wave to make sure that all of that information is being captured, but more importantly, that it's being used to help people self-service as much as possible and to empower your customer service agents. So let's look at what those mean one by one. So what's new from the sales side? So from a seller's perspective, the biggest benefit of the Spring 2015 wave is probably two key components. The first is that now OneNote integration is a first-party product linked into the CRM system. I use OneNote every day, and I can't tell you how nice it is to be able to have a OneNote notebook open at the same time I'm in a CRM opportunity. To being able, as I'm on the phone with a customer, to using pen and ink even, to writing that information down in the OneNote document and have that instantly saved to that particular CRM account or opportunity record. Those OneNote documents are also shareable. So you can have 2 or 3 or even 10 people on a conference call with a customer or a potential customer, all of them leveraging the same notebook. The second component to that productivity story is really the ability to use a modern Outlook app product to integrate Outlook seamlessly with CRM itself. I think you've seen this across the board that Microsoft obviously has a lot of individuals using Outlook as an email and calendaring and messaging platform. When it comes to CRM, historically, and this is true of Dynamics as well as some of the competitors in the space, they've always leveraged a plugin that sits on top of Outlook and hooks it into the CRM process. And that plugin is certainly something that is a additional component to Outlook. The big change in the next version of CRM is you'll no longer need that plugin if you're using Outlook to track information within the actual message. It'll actually be integrated into both the Outlook and the Outlook web app experience itself. The big win there then is that you don't have to install the plugin as you go from machine to machine. If you log into any web browser, that Outlook add-in will be listed there in Outlook web app natively as soon as you turn it on. So it's going to be seamless integration for all of those scenarios where you're not in front of a machine with that plugin. And as someone who's had to work with different variations of the plugins over the years, it also means you don't need to troubleshoot it. It simply turns on or it turns off. Those are the only two ways that it's going to work. So those are two really big changes coming to the platform, but that's not everything in the new sales solution coming in the spring 2015 wave. They've also spun up new mobile clients to make sure that you can use your iOS or Android or Windows phone device and have first-party quality and parity with the actual web app and the tablet app. They've also enabled a new folder tracking function within email itself. So even if you're on a non-first-party email browser, I can actually move messages within by easily moving them between folders, and I could be on any type of device, and it will instantly track those based on the rules that I've set up. Finally, Excel is coming to CRM and is going to be embedded natively. So I no longer have to export items from CRM into Excel and then work on them. I can, within the CRM web browser itself, simply choose to open it up in Excel Online, and all of that information will be available at my fingertips. Again, keeping it a seamless, easy to collaborate experience. What about from the social perspective? Well, there are some significant changes to the Microsoft Social Engagement product. They've changed the focus so that it's no longer merely listening to various components of the social universe. Now you can go out there and engage with customers and accounts in a very granular fashion. So there's a single social center that you can visit that will allow you to see all up how your marketing efforts are landing, how your sales efforts are landing. You can drill down to specific campaigns and specific accounts and competitors to get sentiment analysis and be able to track that in real time on an activity map. You can build alerts out to say if your sentiment analysis is trending broadly down for a particular day or the volume has increased dramatically, to give your sellers, marketers, and customer service reps real-time information about what's going on rather than having them learn after the fact, oh, we're having an issue with a particular service or a product. So if you're not leveraging these capabilities today on the social space, I'd highly encourage you to reach out to New Signature to be able to light up these features, because these are things that quite honestly, most firms haven't been able to do, certainly at an attractive price point in the past, and this is just part of the Dynamics platform. So if you have Dynamics and aren't leveraging this today, it's going to be a huge win for you to start to turn that on. From the customer service aspect, some of the big wins in the spring 2015 wave are the ability to have a fully integrated knowledge base within the CRM system. So as individuals solve problems, if people are sending emails to customers about the services or problems that they're encountering, that information can be pushed into the knowledge base, and then that knowledge base can allow people to service up that information through a single centralized portal. Microsoft calls it the Omni portal. But effectively what that means is that any member of your customers can come in and solve their problem on their own based on the type of documents and knowledge that's being pushed out to customers who did call in the past. So the system itself gets smarter the longer you use it and the more cases that you push into it. And customers have said, and we've seen this in survey after survey, if they can self-service it on their own, on their schedule, going back to the idea of being 24/7, if it's 11 o'clock at night, I don't want to have to call into a customer service line. I want to go to a web page, a single portal, type in some keywords, and have my answer surface to me. That's the ideal customer experience. Being able to deliver that to your customers is going to drive up their satisfaction, even if they're calling in about a problem, because that's what individuals want to be able to do. And they don't want to have to go to a full desktop to be able to do that. They want to be able to do it on a tablet. They want to be able to do it from a mobile device. And that's true of your customer service reps as well. If I'm traveling between locations and all I have on me is my mobile phone, I still want to be able to solve my customers' problems in an effective manner. And that will be enabled in the spring 2015 wave from a customer service aspect. I no longer have to be tied down to a desktop or even a tablet to providing a great experience to my customers. So I don't want to forget about marketing. Another key component with the Dynamics platform, being able to get rich analytics out of the box is something that's new in the spring 2015 wave. All you have to do is tell it the name of your CRM instance, give it a login, and it can immediately go in there and start pulling out information that's already within your CRM system, but it's not surfaced. And this goes to the heart of analytics for me. The data's in the system. You really need it to be explained in a coherent fashion. And Microsoft has done a huge amount of work in building dashboards that surface some of the common scenarios that people want to see, how quickly marketing campaigns are working, whether they're working in particular geographies or for particular industry segments. All of that common information is available out of the box. If you want to customize it, you can do that as well. You have full ability to go in and build very detailed reports if you're looking for specifics about your environment. Microsoft has also significantly improved the email marketing components in it, making sure that people have to confirm twice that they want to be on a particular email list, giving people the option of self-servicing, adding and removing particular email conversations from your marketing group. They may not be interested in an update every week. Maybe they want an update once a month, or maybe they're only interested in a couple of specific products from your group. All of that is capable in the new Dynamics marketing. And being able to get intelligent lead scoring from those marketing efforts. When you send out a 10,000 email blast to your customers, making sure that when 500 or 1,000 people click on those pages, that landing page that they hit is going to effectively score how important they are from your perspective as a salesperson to reaching out to them. Whether you reach out to them 5 minutes later or 15 minutes later can be a big difference in terms of response time. So making sure that you have an intelligent scoring method is built into the platform. And finally, as any good marketing firm will tell you, you don't want to have 50,000 pieces of collateral floating around, all in different SharePoint sites, all in different file servers, or worse, people's email. And Dynamics Marketing does have a single asset management system that you can upload data into that individuals can even work on and streamline from a resource perspective. If you've got dedicated artists and illustrators and marketers, you can actually work through a very simple workflow process to say these two people are going to work on this collateral. Once they finish producing the Photoshop or InDesign file or whatever it is, then a manager is going to approve it, and once it's approved, it will go into the asset management library that is official for all of the sellers and marketers to be able to use moving forward. All of that is baked into the Dynamics Marketing Platform, and those enhancements are coming out in the spring 2015 way. So we've showed you some of the capabilities of the platform. I want to step back for a minute and cover why we feel that the system itself is so critical to making sure those engagements are successful. And this is something I talk about with customers all the time. You can have a very well-designed system that is set up from the get-go to support your sellers, your marketers, and your customer service reps. But it's the little details, it's the design of how the system works that can ensure whether the adoption is 100% and whether people are excited to use it to solve the problems that they encounter in real life. I see this all the time, that organizations will spend thousands, sometimes millions of dollars on a system of record like CRM, only to have it hit something like 10% adoption because the system itself is kludgy and doesn't meet people's needs for what they need it to do. They want it to be integrated to their existing processes. They want it to be smooth and streamlined, and they want to make sure that they can access it from a variety of different devices. So with that in mind, the Dynamics team has made a significant number of improvements in the spring 2015 wave based on customer feedback, real-time customer feedback, to make this process a little bit more smoothly. What do I mean with that? Well, let's look at the areas they focused on. So they wanted to make sure that there was a unified experience across multiple platforms, regardless of whether you're using a phone or a tablet or a desktop or even a large projected screen or large display. The team wanted to make sure that that experience doesn't differ so much that it feels like you're driving two completely different cars when you go between those two models. If you're used to using CRM on a tablet, switching to your phone should be completely seamless. Now, that does require that there are going to be some scenarios on the mobility side that are going to be a little bit different. If I'm using my phone rather than my tablet to do my work, I'm probably going to be doing a smaller subset of actions. I might be at a customer meeting taking notes on my phone. I might merely need to check some information. Obviously, I want it to be something that's touch-friendly if I'm using my phone, whereas if I'm using a large display, that might not be quite as critical for me. This extends to things like the visual styling and how people are getting the information out of the system, being able to navigate from one part of the screen to the other. All of this was part of the areas that they focused on for improvement. So let's look at that first area, those unified experiences. So today, the Dynamics platform is composed of a couple of different key areas. There's obviously the core CRM system, but there's social engagement to hook into the social world, Dynamics marketing for all those enterprise marketing efforts, and then Parature from a customer service perspective. Microsoft is committing to moving all of those design elements, which are relatively similar today, but into a more unified user experience for every single individual so that there isn't a gear shift when I move from one customer service area to a sales perspective or a marketing perspective. That means that the navigation, how I go from one area to the other, how the branding looks, all of that is going to be the same sort of experience as I move between them. It means I'm going to be connected into Office, so making sure that Excel surfaces naturally within CRM, using OneNote directly within CRM, or being able to collaborate on documents in Word and PowerPoint at the same time. Those are key ways that I don't have to think about whether I'm in Office or whether I'm in Dynamics. I should just be able to use the apps that I want to use and have those surfaced automatically within the platform. When it extends to the mobile landscape, and I've got a couple of pictures here of different sized items. You can see a couple of different phones, an iOS device, an Android device, and a Windows phone. You can tell it's all the same expression, the same font, the same logo and looks. It doesn't matter what type of device you're using, even going to a larger display like a tablet. It's just giving you more screen real estate. And that's the goal with this, is to feel like when you move between those different form factors, if I'm sitting at my desk and I have a 30-inch monitor, or I flip to my Surface Pro and I've got a smaller tablet screen, or I go to my mobile phone, obviously those different real estates allow me to see more or less information, but having that resize on the fly contextually is critical to making sure that your entire team is able to go between those different modes without skipping a beat. I think it's important to recognize, and a lot of companies that I have spoken to have said, well, this mobility stuff is great. I'm glad that it works on some phones, but no one's really going to use that. And it's always worth pointing out that there are so many individuals who are primarily using their phones and tablets for work that if your solution right now doesn't expose that information to individuals, or it gives you a clunky interface to do it with, that people just are going to choose a different platform to work on, and that ultimately is going to hurt your business. So the CRM team takes this very seriously. This is one of their top priorities, to making sure that those experiences on all those different devices light up in just an effective manner as the other person. This goes to your sellers themselves. I mean, when I think about what I do in a typical day, and probably 30 to 40% of my job is sales in nature. I'm constantly traveling. I'm going to customer locations. I'm looking up information about them. I'm taking notes from meetings and developing action items and to-do lists. All of that information needs to be surfaced at my fingertips. It needs to always be updated in real time. If something changes with a customer, I don't want to have to be checking it every 2 seconds to make sure that information is getting updated. It just needs to update on the fly, and it needs to be available to me wherever I go on whatever device that I'm using. So all of these are scenarios that are lit up in the new 2015 experience. And you see this if we look at the phone experience, and I'm using the Windows phone, but this is similar across iOS and Android. The ability to flip between the pages is seamless and natural. There's not I'm not having to relearn anything when I flip between there. I've got my business process baked into the system. One of the big advantages of using a platform like CRM is that it's quite easy to go in there and edit a business process. I, over the past 6 months, have even built a couple of custom business processes that I use on a regular basis that aren't the same as our regular sellers because it's customized for me based on my needs. I didn't have to hire a developer to do that or go to our app plat team. I just built the business workflow myself. It took about 5 minutes, and then use that and can use it on my tablet as well as my phone with the new phone experience. From a navigation perspective, many of you who have already on the Dynamics platform know that there is a couple of clicks to go between different areas. Microsoft heard your feedback and invested some significant resources in making sure that the number of clicks to get to any particular location, and I say clicks, but these could be touches with your fingers, all of that has been reduced so that you can go with a single click to most of the common locations. And if you're having to go back to previously accessed areas, that you're able to do that. What does that mean? Well, let me show you specifically. So from a navigation bar perspective, this is the new Dynamics 2015 Spring Wave navigation bar. They've made some significant improvements to it. Obviously, in the last version, they introduced the concept of global search. So rather than searching off of one or two specific entities, you can now simply type in information in the global search bar and have that surfaced. Navigating between different areas. If I'm a salesperson, I'm probably going to live in the sales section. But if I go between accounts and contacts, those are two different areas. And in the current model, I have to back out to that account level and back into the contact level to flip between the two. Now with the most recently used records area, it'll actually allow me to flip between all of the recent items that I've done. If I click on a contact and an opportunity and an account, all of those are surfaced through the global most recently used record option. So I no longer have to be flipping back and forth between 3 or 4 different areas. I can just look at my global MRU and I'm set to being able to do that. The breadcrumb navigation has been reworked to make sure that those tables go down very specifically up and down as I go between any specific area. And I'm also able to flip between the top level sitemaps quite easily rather than having to hover over specific areas. This is especially worthwhile if I'm using a mouse or my fingers to navigate between the two. In the current model, if I hover away, I might lose my navigation. Now that navigation stays front and center until you select a specific area, which makes it much easier to go between different areas of the system. I think, and this is important to note, one of the benefits of standardizing on a platform like Dynamics CRM Online is that Microsoft can take that feedback in real time and iterate it so that if there is a concern on the part of customers, that they're going to take that feedback to heart and improve the product. And this is exactly what they did. They heard from customers that they love the touch-friendly user interface, but they wanted it to be quicker and they wanted it to be easier to navigate, and that's why they put these investments in to make that process easier to use. Those breadcrumbs, and I see this when I walk into places all the time, there's a lot of information contained within your CRM system. You don't want it to feel like flying a 747 when you're using it. So having those breadcrumbs show up so you can navigate between them, but then having them get off the screen once you've navigated to a specific area ensures that you're using the maximum amount of real estate you can to surface the information that you need, but that it gets out of your way once you've dove into any specific area. I mentioned the global most recently used. So if you select that area, it'll show you all of the different types of information, not just the accounts, not just opportunities. It'll show it across every entity that you have, and you have the ability to pin specific records. So you could pin a couple of opportunities that you're going to be in more so than others, or a couple of accounts that you're going to regularly be in. Once you pin those, you can easily go into that over and over again without having to navigate between different areas of the system. They've also made some changes for form navigation. So one of the complexities of a lot of the custom solutions that we've built is that customers will say, well, I want a form with lots of information on it. And it's difficult to navigate if a form has 10 or 11 different sections. It can be complex to navigate through all of those different sections of the form. With the new jump menu, I can click to a specific area in the form with a single click to go through all the sessions that I have, to be able to quickly get where I need to do. And that's, again, going back to that heart of productivity. If you're using the jump menu, that allows you to save 2 to 3 seconds. And when you think about it, it's those little 2 to 3 second actions that over time start to add up and start to make a system seem clunkier, which hurts adoption and which hurts your ability to get the information in. Using things like jump menus and pinned items, even though they may only save small amounts of time, that adds up over the course of a day, and that certainly increases the adoption rate of the solution once people start to use it in that manner. They've also extended the platform to allow some theming items. And I think it's important to note that the theming processes that you can do in the system are very useful to making CRM look and feel like your particular system rather than a generic system. But these extend across the entire landscape. So they're not making it possible for you to break CRM in any way. And they're also not making it possible for it to be unusable on a mobile device or a laptop or what have you. By making the design minimally configurable, it's still going to look like your solution, but it will resize automatically based on the size and screen and real estate that you have to work with. You can upload your own custom logo now into the main area. As you start to hover over specific items, those colors can be fully customized to meet your navigational theming and desire. And ultimately, even things as specific as the way a business process works through, all of that can be themed as well. Ultimately, the goal is to make these solutions as productive as possible. So all of this, from a productivity perspective, are little tiny changes to the platform that mean that people will save time, making sure that fields are auto-populating as quickly as possible, getting contextual insight. So as I'm typing in information into the system, it'll start to make suggestions for me. Having things like Cortana integration. If I want to take a note about a particular opportunity, I can simply say, Cortana, look at this CRM op, and it will open up the opportunity for me and bring me into it automatically, whether I'm on my mobile phone or my Windows 10 device coming out in the fall. All of that saves me seconds, minutes, hours over the course of a day or a week, and that leads to happier customer service reps, to happier sales reps, and happier marketing reps. So even though all of these items that are small items from a productivity perspective, not as perhaps as flashy as OneNote integration or having a new Outlook app in the store, these little things do make a big difference overall, and it helps ensure that the system is going to be productive not only today, but for years to come. So in conclusion, I want to make sure that people know, there's a lot of new features that are coming out in the spring 2015 wave. The best way to take advantage of those features is to talk to New Signature, to make sure you're on the latest platform today. If you're not already using Dynamics CRM, I would say there's never been a better time to be able to get on board from a platform perspective. The partner community is fully engaged. Microsoft is heavily invested. If you didn't know, the current CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, actually helped deliver CRM Online as a service back when he was working for the Dynamics business unit. So it has a special place in his heart, and he's clearly shown it some love over the last 6 to 12 months, and we expect that commitment is going to continue. So there's never been a better time to work with Microsoft and New Signature to getting up on CRM if you're not already on the platform. And if you're on the existing platform but on an on-premises installation, we talk with customers all the time who are interested in upgrading to the latest version and potentially considering moving to the cloud version, which the release of cadences over the past 6 months has been breathtaking. There have been 8 new releases of CRM in the past 6 months. It's a huge change in velocity from their previous pace of every 3 to 5 years. Doing that on premises is tough because you got to go through a very rigid change management process. If you switch to the cloud-based platform, those upgrades can be easily scheduled, can be time boxed within a specific time, and you can say, let's do it at this time. I'm going to approve the update, and it's going to go through, and I don't have to bring the system down or make changes that are going to be blocking to customers or to our own internal staff. So definitely consider moving to the cloud-based platform if you can. But otherwise, I would say the new release is coming out in the next couple of months, and would encourage you to hop on it and ask for help where it's necessary. Ryan, do we have any questions?
He asked you.
Does not look like we have any questions. If anyone wants to go ahead and ask any questions, I'll go ahead and unmute the audience really quick in case anyone wants to ask over the phone. Additionally, as Reed mentioned, please feel free to follow up with us. We will follow up with you guys probably early next week, just to see if we can get some feedback from you. Feel free to follow up with any questions you may have. You can always reach out to us directly or info@newsignature.com. That will go directly to us as well. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will be sending out additional information for future webinars. We'd love to see you on those as well. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording now, and as mentioned at the beginning of the call, we will go ahead and throw this up on the site once everything gets uploaded. So thanks everyone one more time for joining us, and if nobody has any questions, we will go ahead and give you guys a few minutes back. Take care everyone, and thank you, Reed.
Thanks everyone.